All right, guys, I'm sitting here with Leah Wankum. She is the managing editor at the Muleskinner. Has been up there since
2011.
since 2011, so she's been working there for quite some time. She's one of our graduate students. She's actually, as the managing editor, that's her graduate assistantship. And I asked her to come in and visit with me. I'm going to do a little interview with her to talk about the Muleskinner, to talk about the opportunities you have writing there, how it can make you a better writer, how it can help you as a student to get better, be more successful in your career. So, Leah, thank you for coming in. Tell me a little bit about your story, about how you got involved with the Muleskinner and how it's helped you.
Well, it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to trim it down. I started as a freshman at Mizzou because I wanted to go to the School of Journalism, and it was extremely intimidating because there was a college fair, and I talked to two different students at the School of Journalism, and they asked about what my interests were, and I was 18 years old, about to start college, and I just said, well, I like to write, and they said, well, why don't you go to the English department? And I was like, okay, I'll go. And I did, and I liked it, but it wasn't what I was going for. I knew I liked to write, but I wasn't interested in fiction. I wanted to tell real people's stories. I really wanted journalism or some sort of writing career. And one of my family members recommended the public relations program here, so I transferred here my sophomore year. But then someone else told me about the Muleskinner, and I picked up a paper. My first day actually here, I randomly visited the campus before school started. I saw the paper, and I thought, I wonder if I can get involved, even though I'm not a journalism major. And that same year, or around that time, the journalism degree, I believe, was dropped. But then all the classes were still here and were hidden to me in the digital media production news track. And I was not aware of that, and I didn't know it was an option anymore. I just heard the journalism degree was dropped. So I stuck with PR, and I liked it, and I finished my degree in December of 2014, but backtracking a little bit, I still wanted to be involved with the paper, and so I wrote for them a little bit my first year, and then I studied abroad and wrote as a columnist, sending my articles by email about my study abroad experiences. And then when I came back, they were interested in hiring me, and I took a position as assistant news editor and worked there for a year, and then I became managing editor right after that.
So you were a PR major.
Yes.
We did not, I will admit, we did not, when we first started digital media production, when we merged our broadcast media and our journalism programs together, we did not do as good a job as we should have of promoting that journalism is alive and well at the University of Central Missouri. It's just not called journalism. We actually had people in the admissions office, when students would call in and say they want to study journalism, they say, well, we don't teach journalism here anymore. And
That's what they
drive me crazy.
Yeah, they told me that.
So we got that taken care of. But you were a PR major.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote for the Muleskinner. I was a PR major when I was a student here, and I spent 5 years working for the Muleskinner because in PR, you have to write,
mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes, that's the majority of your work is writing.
And it's in a journalistic style, right?
Yes.
Or storytelling.
The inverted pyramid style, mm-hmm. all the important information first. And
yeah. So a lot of it's going to be hard news. A lot of it's going to be feature stories,
mm-hmm.
where you get to tell people's stories, which isn't in an inverted pyramid style. We'll get to that a little bit later. So you don't have to study journalism to write for the Muleskinner, correct?
No, not at all.
What if, say, a student were a digital cinema student and they didn't really care about writing hard news stories or things like that? Are there opportunities for them to write? And if so, what kind of things could they be doing?
Opportunities to write, or
mm-hmm.
just opportunities to contribute?
To contribute, to write for the Muleskinner, or contribute stories, whatever.
Well, if a digital cinema student wanted to come up and contribute in that specific way with that medium, that is definitely a possibility, because the Muleskinner has not just the print paper, but
mm-hmm.
we have our website, digitalberg.com, and that is just all opportunities for multimedia to come in and just showcase your work on our website. And you can tell all sorts of stories. You just run it through the editors to see what you want to do, and we'll take it.
Okay.
So is that kind of what you're...
Yeah. Say a student, though, you know, I'm in digital cinema.
mm-hmm.
I don't write hard news, but I like watching films. Maybe I'd like to try my hand at being a critic.
That would be definitely a possibility, too. We have plays through the Department of Theater and their Studio One acts, and we have, I think the union has their movies every weekend, so students can write movie reviews before or after the movies come out, and actually just pretty much anything if you want to watch any movie that came out and you want to write a movie review, even if it isn't playing here. Like, we're open to anything, honestly. If you like to write, then come up here if you like it.
Okay. I like to say that digital cinema and digital journalism collide at one point, and that's called documentary film. Narrative film is more your Hollywood movies and things like that. Documentary is more like, if you're an ESPN fan, the 30 for 30s, or if you like National Geographic, the documentaries they'll have over whatever wild animals in Africa and is the rage right now. Because whereas narrative is designed to entertain, documentary is designed to inform. And that's what journalism is informants. And so if you can learn to write news and to tell that story in an informative way, which is what you do with the Muleskinner for the most part. I mean, again, there are the feature pieces, the critics, those types of things. And then you develop your skills in cinema. You're well on your way to being a documentary filmmaker, and those are really interesting. So what opportunities are up there?
So,
and I keep saying up there because the Muleskinner is located in Wood 312.
Yes.
Wood 312.
I know Wood 310 is our lab.
That's
so,
one of the labs. Yeah.
Right, okay. So there are several different opportunities, and I'll talk about writing first. If you're interested in writing, which you should be if you're digital media production at all interested, there are opportunities to write hard news, which is going out and writing the things that are happening right now, necessarily breaking news, but investigative reporting, looking at what's going on around campus, and just, for example, the Board of Governors will have a meeting, and they will make decisions at that meeting. And typically managing editor will go to cover that, but sometimes the other editors or reporters will go and cover things like that. That's kind of hard news. It's pretty much inverted pyramid style. You got to have the hard news, the important facts at the top, and then going down to less important. Then you have your features, so that's our lifestyle section, and typically those are profile pieces, or play reviews, movie reviews will generally go in that section as well. And pretty much what student organizations are doing on campus, or interesting events, spotlight, just pretty much anything that's not necessarily a timely piece. Nothing critically happening right now. It's more
evergreen.
Yeah, it lasts a lot longer, I guess. And then opinion, you can write editorial pieces, so your take on something, perhaps, or you can also write, like we have letters to the editor that come in, and so that's one way to write to the paper. But then as a columnist, you can come in and write about something that you're passionate about or interested in, and your opinion, your take on that. And also we have sports, which are generally written feature style, but there are also game coverage, which is more of the hard newsy style of sports. I guess you could speak more to that, but there are lots of opportunities to write sports. And then, so those are all the writing opportunities. We also cover community events, and those generally go on the website, digitalberg.com, but if it affects the university enough, then we also put it in the print. So those are all the writing opportunities. For photography, pretty much everything I just talked about needs some sort of art to go with it. So if you enjoy working with a camera, or you want to develop your skills more as a photojournalist, definitely come up here. And you do not need to know how to use Photoshop very well, because that is not news journalism. You need to make the photo look just like it came out when you took the picture. Very minimal adjustments to brightness, or
sure, color correction,
cropping,
type of stuff.
Yeah, very minimal adjusting. So you don't need to be a Photoshop whiz. You just come in and take pictures and write about what you're taking pictures of. So who's that in the picture, that sort of thing. So lots of opportunities for that. And also for sports coverage, we also need photographers for sports games. And then also for if you're interested in videography and you want to create news packages, then you can definitely come up and have one of our video cameras that I know they check out at the DMP lab. And all of the stories and all of the photo stories that you can do will could potentially have a video news package to go with it. News package being a minute or two long, right?
Right.
Generally. So those are generally our video opportunities. And also, if you're interested in illustrations, we definitely want more comics and cartoons. And if you want to illustrate from a photo that was taken for an event, and then you like that photo and you feel compelled to illustrate and draw what you see in that photo, and that could go and be the art to go with the story, we also welcome those opportunities as well. And the best part about all of this is as you work with editors and contribute consistently and are open to constructive criticism, as we all are up there, your work will get better and better, and we publish your work, and then you have portfolio items, and that's the biggest thing. That's what we're all here for.
Right.
It's a lab up there, and so we're all up there learning. Even I'm up there learning. I'm a student, just like everybody else. So it shouldn't be a concern whether you've come up there or not. You just have to come up and introduce yourself, express your interest, and we'll get you started.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
So that's everything.
The two reasons I hear that students don't want to go up to the Muleskinner, the two predominant reasons. Number one is I just don't have time with all my classes and work and such. And number two, it's intimidating. I don't really know what to do up there. I maybe haven't taken any journalism classes, things like that. Well, to the first one, I would say if you don't have time, wait until you graduate. You'll have plenty of time then because you won't have a job. You've got to get involved and get some experience, particularly if you want to go into the digital journalism side. Have some clips, have some packages that you've done. If you're into audio and you want to maybe work in radio, do a podcast. Work on a podcast.
Oh, right. I didn't even talk about those opportunities.
But because of the digital Berg, we can go online and do your own podcast. But get the experience. Don't say you don't have time. We're working to do a lot of these things in the classroom. We're talking as a faculty about taking the digital journalism classes up to the Muleskinner. So instead of having them in a classroom or in a lab, you'll actually have your class in the Muleskinner. You'll be right there for your assignments to get to the Muleskinner editors to get some extra guidance, to get some leadership, and to help you get them published or get them aired. So don't say that you don't have time. You've got to make the time if you want to get employed. To the second one, and the other question I get is, it's intimidating. I'm afraid to go up there. I haven't had the classes. Don't I have to have a couple of journalism classes before I go to the Muleskinner? To which Leah would say,
No.
No.
You have to have interest and passion. The people who say they don't have time, I don't know, and I can't speak to everybody. The people who say they don't have time and they're busy, in my opinion, give off the perception that they don't want to be involved. They just want to get their classes done and just get by, and then pay for school through a part-time job that is not related to their major at all. And the beauty of my work is that, and also having previous employment with the Muleskinner before I got my graduate assistantship, is that I get a little bit of compensation for what I do, but I had to contribute before.
There are paid editors positions for undergrads, not just for graduate assistants.
Right. I was an undergrad when I had my assistant news editor position, and but I had to earn that. I had to write for about a year and a half before I would ever get compensation, and that's okay. We're in school, and so that's just how it works. But I have those portfolio items from, forever ago that I didn't get paid to write, but those are my portfolio items that I was published. I have those in, to showcase my work. But
before you got there, the student who hasn't had a lot of experience, and this is one of the things that we advertise about our program over some larger journalism schools. There's one to the east of us that I'm going to talk about. As a freshman, as a first semester freshman, you haven't taken any classes, you could show up at the Muleskinner and they'll give you training, right?
Right. So my first assignment was, I think I wrote about the agriculture club on campus. And it was extremely intimidating because I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. But then I actually started my interview and I had prepared my questions in advance, and they were just normal people that I was talking to. And it felt more like a conversation. It was a feature piece. It was not hard-hitting news, and it was just, it was, the interview part felt very comfortable and relaxed because I had prepared in advance what I wanted to ask, and so I had an idea of what I was going to get. I recorded my interview, so I wasn't stressed about taking serious notes, but I did take notes while they were talking, and I mean, that part just felt natural right away. And some people, maybe that doesn't come a little naturally, but I still get guidance and tips from our advisor, our faculty advisor, Matt Birdmeyer, all the time about, recommendations for certain interviews. It's always a learning process up there, but I mean, we get you started on something that you feel comfortable with and you just run with it. But one thing I want to stress is that you don't have to have previous journalism experience from high school. I mean, my high school did not have a journalism track at all. I don't think we had a newspaper. We had a yearbook. I didn't get involved. It was very small. So you don't have to have that if that's what you're intimidated about. As far as getting critiqued for your work, I'm sorry, you'll have to get over that. Journalism is such a hard field to get into. It's very competitive, and you have to be able to accept criticism for your work. Another of my first articles was, after the Agriculture Club piece, was a play review. And our copy editor at the time, who's gone on to win awards at a neighboring newspaper in Sedalia, she tore it up. And I was devastated. I thought, I'll never get into journalism. This is terrible. Oh my gosh. And I kind of was a little insulted, I'll be honest, a little offended. I thought, what is wrong with her? Like, I didn't think it was that bad. But then I actually sat down and talked with her about it, and just asked her, why'd you tear this up? And she's like, it really wasn't good, Leah. And I thought, okay. And she's like, you're a good writer. It's just what you gave me is not that good, but I'm going to help you make it better. And she did. And she sat with me and helped me go through all the corrections and stuff. And after seeing the new product, I realized what I needed to work on.
It's a different form.
Right.
And that's what I'm seeing out of you guys already, is that you are good writers. I mean, I've really been pleased with the writing I've seen. It's learning to write in a different format. It's learning to write in a journalistic form in many ways, which is easier than the writing you've been doing.
It really is.
But it's different. And so you have to learn a different language, basically.
And you have to learn how to write different kinds of formats, different formats of writing all the time. Mm-hmm. It's never just one kind. For example, I don't do play reviews anymore. At all. It doesn't come naturally for me, and I enjoy reading play reviews and movie reviews, but for me, I just don't think that way because I'm not into cinema that much. I enjoy movies, but I'm more of a news kind of person, so you don't see a lot of my pieces in the lifestyle section because I just don't enjoy writing features as much as I like the excitement of breaking news and hard-hitting news and investigative reporting, in-depth reporting. That's more my interest. So one thing that I could work on as a student while I'm here is taking advantage of lifestyle writing opportunities, which are different from hard-hitting news, from the hard news that we have on pages 1 and 3 of our paper. If you pick one up, then you'll know what I'm talking about. It can get a little bit murky in the different styles because there's a lot of blending. Last week, for example, I wrote a piece about the prime number discovery from one of our professors here on campus, Curtis Cooper, and I started my story with a quote. That's like a no in journalism. But as our faculty advisor, Matt Birdmeyer, says often, rules are there, they're meant to be broken. And if they're broken well, then it's like you just started something new possibility. People start stories with quotes all the time, but that's not, even though it's news, hard news, I still got creative with it. So I don't want you to think that just because they're different formats, you can't be creative with what you do. Because, I mean, originally I went to the English department at Mizzou, and I loved my writing assignments, and I loved my writing opportunities there. And I was telling stories. It was just an entirely different way. So to me, digital media production is all about telling stories, and you have multiple outlets to do that. You have multiple different styles of writing opportunities. You have multiple stories that you can do podcasts and radio opportunities for, audio opportunities, and then your video news packages. And those are different media. Those are different media, but there are different types of stories to tell, and you can get creative with how you want to tell them. Honestly, like, that's the beauty, I guess, of our degree is, or our industry is, you can just make it whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
So,
Well, we're over 20 minutes.
sorry.
That's all right. Hopefully you guys have hung around to the end of this, because it's been good information. Thank you, Leah, for coming. Real quickly,
Yes.
How do they get involved? Where do they go?
Come upstairs to Wood 312, Wood Building, 3rd floor, room closest to the elevator.
Big sign right out in front.
Big sign right out front. We have the creative suite up there, so all of your writing assignments, all of your news packages, video packages, Final Cut, or not, Adobe Premiere, and Adobe Illustrator, everything. The creative suite is up there for you to use, and we want you to come up there and use them, because this is your space when you become a Muleskinner staff member by reporting, taking video photography, illustrating, everything. These are your tools. Come up there and use them, please.
Thank you. Get up there, go see them, build your writing skills.